All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We are just getting mic'd up here and ready to go, so we apologize for the brief delay to our schedule. But we are happy to have you all here. We have a great one for you. Rick Valencia is here from Qualcomm Life. He's the president and CEO, and he's going to be here with our own Jeroen Tas to discuss some of the ways that Philips is partnering with Qualcomm Life to improve patient care. So that's basically it. We also have some other housekeeping issues that we can tell you about. We've got great schedules that happen here throughout the week. You can pick up a copy of the schedule right over here. And let's see. Just back there. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So we have a lot of cool ones, and we have another one. As a rule, they're always at the top of the hour. So we had a delay on this one. This is the only time. We don't anticipate other delays. But at the top of the next hour, right after this one, we've got a good one for you. Anyone know Dave DeBronkart? He's a patient advocate. There he is. He knows him. E-Patient Dave is with us, who is travels all over the world now as an advocate for patient care and as an advisor for the patient's role in healthcare. We don't want to give away too much of Dave's story, but he did beat terminal stage 4, not terminal stage 4 cancer, kidney cancer, I believe, right? And it's been 10 plus years, is that right? Yeah, okay, even so, very impressive, and we're really glad to have Dave here. He's a great speaker, and we'll be bringing him up momentarily. All right. So right now, though, we'd like to welcome you to the Philips Connected Health Forum officially. My name is Paul. I'm your host. Between now and Wednesday, as I said, we will be having a whole range of sessions with outstanding speakers here in the forum. Topics will range from population health and advanced analytics. At the top of each hour, these will happen, as I said, all week long. So make sure you pick up a schedule, and we'll go. The session we're about to begin right now are open ecosystems and the power of many. And as I said, we have Rich Valencia, the president and CEO of Qualcomm Life, and Jeroen Tas, our chief innovation and strategy officer here at Philips. So when you think of Qualcomm, you instantly think global, wireless, connectivity, networks, and innovation, right? Their wireless technologies and innovation lay the foundation for what we call today the Internet of Things. And it sparked a new era of how people interact with technology, their environments, and other people. Smart devices powered by Qualcomm technology touch our lives many times a day. And they help our cars run better. They make our homes smarter than ever before. So the potential of mobile technology to transform care delivery and personal health is tremendous. And that's the reason that Philips and Qualcomm Life are teaming up to take IoT to the next level, tomorrow's healthcare. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome now Rick Valencia, the CEO and president of Qualcomm Life, and with him as the host of this session is our own Jeroen Tas, Philips Chief Innovation and Strategy Officer. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, and Rick, it's great to have you here, good friend, and
happy to be here, Jeroen.
So when we first met, it was quite an interesting conversation.
It was.
I think we hit it off because we share a vision. We share a vision about technology and healthcare. Can you share that with us?
Sure. So we met a little bit over 3 years ago, I believe, and we met in San Diego. And we talked then about our vision of what we call the Internet of Medical Things and open systems, creating ecosystems, and how we wanted to focus our energies on becoming the enabling technology that allowed for the ability to connect patients wherever they are, not necessarily where their doctors are. So we're building out this Internet of Medical Things to create the opportunity to deliver this intelligent care anywhere, wherever the patient is, whether it's in the hospital, in the home, anywhere in between. In order to do that, we need partners. We need lots of partners. We're focused on getting partner medical devices, drugs, apps, and other services and solutions integrated so that the data can begin flowing from the patient back to the caregiver, and of course in some sort of intelligent way that enables the caregiver to respond, to react, to intervene. And of course, at some point, the ability for that data to go right back to the patient and give them the insights to react based on how their body is trending at that time. Maybe leveraged, or maybe it's been treated by a caregiver and and a response has come back, but maybe it's the response is coming directly from analytics in the cloud. And so the opportunity to partner with Philips on all of those points, which Jeroen will probably get into in a little bit more detail around their suite of devices in the hospital and in the home, and their HSD platform for taking that data and creating meaning out of the data, is exactly the type of partnership. And it also, what it does is it enables our partners, other members of our ecosystem, to very easily partner with Philips and for Philips to partner with them. So I'll tell you that, and I'll tell you one other fun little story about our first meeting. Qualcomm is a relatively new entrant into healthcare. We're focused in a very specific way around connectivity and secure data transmission, things that we're pretty good at. But again, healthcare is new to us. My boss and I, the president of Qualcomm, we met with Jeroen in San Diego, and when the meeting was over with, my boss was still trying to get his head around what the models were. Jeroen walked out and he said, "How are we going to compete with a company that's been in healthcare for 100 years? And of course, we're not going to. We're going to partner with Philips and other companies in the space. So yeah, that's kind of the story. Yeah. By the way, excuse me for sweating. I was late and I literally ran here today.
Well, that's what we do. We run and deliver. So, so when we talked, we're talking about what is life going to look like for somebody with diabetes or somebody with heart failure, right, and they live with it, 24/7. And as you know, my daughter has type 1 diabetes, and I can see her, it's a 24/7 disease. Yeah. So I remember when we talked about it, we said, wouldn't it be wonderful if she can connect her continuous glucose meter, to a watch that's tracking her stress and heart rate, and give her the tools on an app, but more importantly, know that securely these devices connect, but these devices can stream actually to the caregiver, because, sometimes if you struggle with your condition, you need help. And, what it used to be is you make a call and they try to figure out what's going on. And now suddenly, they see it on their screen, and we take the information coming from these different devices that are securely connected through, to net, that are streamed to the caregiver. It's interpreted there so that on the dashboard the caregiver can see, okay, she's been high, with her blood sugars for a while, so let's change the dose of insulin, or even, I hope in the near future, actually, let's reconfigure the pump to apply to that. And you can only do that if these devices are working together in a secure way, that we can trust those devices, we can trust the data, and the data can be interpreted on the fly, because many of these things, are real time. So I think that's where we found each other as well.
And what that implies is a lot more than a rate plan. What it implies is that you're getting these devices connected at the source, where that device is being used, that you're capturing the data and transmitting it in a medical grade way, in a way that's secure, in a way that can be trusted by a care provider to act on that. So patient association is absolutely critical. Security of the data, latency, very low latency is critical. And who better than Qualcomm to help out in those areas? There's no company on earth that has a better understanding of where the technology is going on the device side, what radio types are going to be in there, what sort of operating systems. That's changing very dramatically. Every year or two you hear about new radio types, new operating systems, new integrations of that, new battery types, new antennas. That's our business. We keep track of that. The development cycles in healthcare, of course, medical devices, health solutions, a lot slower than a couple of years because of the regulatory environment. Also, the network itself. We're in the midst of moving from the 4G network to the 5G network, and we've got to get going pretty quickly. They're shutting down the 3G network for the most part by 2020. So what if you are designing a solution to last for the next 5 or 10 years? You need to know where that network technology is going, and we're helping to design the 5G network. And the beauty of the 5G network is that it does focus on mission critical applications like self-driving cars, like healthcare. And latency becomes a real big issue. Of course, bandwidth is always an issue, but connecting to billions of things with the ability to capture data from all of these things that are moving around in the world. And of course, security is a big issue. But the 5G network, with Qualcomm's help, is being optimized for these exact types of use cases so that we can deliver up meaningful data that can be trusted, that can be used in an environment like Jeroen's daughter, who has diabetes. And by the way, I'll mention that when I first came to Qualcomm, the original objective of the president at the time who hired me was for us to focus on diabetes as well. His daughter, his son, his brother, and his father all suffer from type 1 diabetes.
Yeah. And I think this time it's really going to happen. We're going to create this, what we call ambient intelligence around a person, where the environment senses what the need of that person is, where the devices adapt to the person and give information out about the person. And that reminded me of the story you told me yesterday about how we can take what's happening with autonomous cars, actually what we're doing in healthcare. Can you enlighten us? Because I thought it was a pretty interesting parallel.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note that an autonomous car is not a remote-controlled car. An autonomous car is a data-driven machine. It's reacting on a second-by-second basis to thousands of data points that it's collecting from sensors around it, and it's responding. And not only sensors on the car, but outside of the car, in its environment, on people. And that's how it's going to safely maneuver and avoid hurting the driver or anybody else. And but it's that sort of data-driven capability that we need to create in healthcare as well, where we're creating the ability for patients to help manage their care themselves. There's a lot that we can do with the data in real time and stream that right back to a patient on this device. Jeroen talks about creating this ambient environment. That's critically important, because when we think of technology like this, think of your phone. You don't very often think of your phone as a piece of technology. When do you? When it's not working. When you can't get network, you can't use it right, then it's technology. Otherwise,
it's part of your life.
It's part of our lives. It's the remote control of our lives, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do the exact same thing with our healthcare.
Yeah, I want to pick up on this autonomous car, but so at CES we actually showed that this health watch, which is actually a medical device, it looks like a consumer device, but it's a medical device. We showed that you actually walked up to your car, the car opens, recognizes you, and it shows, you start the car, it shows the gauges of the car, but also your personal gauges. And actually the car sees that you're stressed. And the car notes that and says, hey, you're stressed, shall I help you relax? And you say yes. And what happens is actually the chair starts massaging you, the lights dim, the music comes up, and I'm not kidding you. This is literally, the car becomes an ambient environment. But more seriously, if you're a diabetic, heart arrhithmia can be an indication of you going low. You're going low, you can get a coma. So you're driving, and your watch sees this. The guard can take over and say, I'll drive you now to the nearest parking spot and I will dial out for help immediately.
Right.
And these are not far-fetched scenarios. This is stuff we can do pretty soon. And I think the other thing that's becoming more important is that environment also knows you're diabetic. Yeah. That environment has your history and understands your history. And just like, the family that you were talking about, there are diabetics in the family. We understand where you're coming from. We understand how we can bring it in context. And that's another area where I'm very excited about a collaboration, because we talk about an ambulatory environment. You're walking around, you sit in your car. But what if something really bad happens and you need to be rushed to the hospital? We need to make sure that on the way to the hospital we can, let's say you have a stroke, we can actually do a CT scan, beam it to the hospital, optimize emergency care in the hospital. The hospital knows who you are, the devices adapt to you. So can you tell what we're looking for when we are going beyond 2net and say, we're going to connect all of this in an Internet of Medical Things?
Because then when that happens, hopefully that patient gets well and begins recovering and is sent to maybe a step-down facility initially and eventually home. And we're not going to want to be taking our patients and checking them in or plugging them in and out of different networks along the way, along the care continuum. We're going to have to be able to manage their condition, manage their health, and manage them back to health on a continuous basis, no matter where they are on that continuum. So we're focused on building out that network in everything from high acuity, if they're in the ICU, all the way to home, and all those points in between through this technology capability. But as Jeroen mentioned, it needs to be ambient. It needs to almost not even exist. It needs to be delivered in a way that a patient gets most things from their phone today, and what motivates them to look at it 100 to 150 times a day, because it's part of their life now. And we believe that healthcare can get there sooner than later. And I know, we all talk about healthcare is pretty special. Our bodies are very special. Biology is really complicated. We're all very different people. And so there are some people that are skeptical. It's going to take a really long time. For a lot of it will take a long time, but there's a lot of opportunity right now. If we can fly billion-dollar planes over the population of the world autonomously on autopilot, if we can put cars in our neighborhoods driving past schools that are driving autonomously, both data-driven machines, we can provide the same sort of capability in healthcare. And the technology, not every bit of it, but most of the technology necessary to deliver on this is available today. It's really just about integration, it's about interoperability, it's about partnerships, creating the right partnerships, and also it's about adopting change in the system. And that's probably the long pole in all of this, is getting the system to really embrace the capabilities.
Yeah, because what you're describing is a world where you are continuously in touch with a patient, and you can reach out when you see this patient needs help, or the other way around. Even the car can see that you need help right now. That means that you probably have care teams that work remotely with patients, where every interaction adds to the body of knowledge about patients, where you can use that knowledge to then better treat the next patient with similar condition. So I think that's an area where I feel we have this very strong relationship, where we're working with you on the secure connectivity, exchanging data between devices, between patients and care teams and devices, but also interpreting that data on the fly. So basically making Health Suite and TUNet, one environment, one open platform where you can plug in anybody's device securely, but also plugging any data source securely, and bringing that together to provide better insight in patients and better insight in the conditions, and therefore better care.
Yeah, the great thing that I love hearing Jeroen talk about this, because when you really think about what he's saying, is that it really does take a village. It takes a lot of teams working together, a lot of partnerships. He actually said on stage at one of our events several months ago, he says, for our customers, we want to provide solutions, and that might mean a diabetes management solution. And at Philips, we don't make glucometers, so we're going to need partnerships in order to deliver on that solution. They're not going to say, no, I can't help you with your diabetics because we don't make a glucometer. They're part of an ecosystem now where they can team up, and the rest of those ecosystem members can also team up with Philips to deliver on these end solutions. So it's exciting times.
It's exciting times where you work with partners in the ecosystem, where you can trust those partners, you can trust the data coming from those partners. And I think collectively, and not just us, some of the parts you're working with, some of the parts we're working with, I think collectively we can start improving care pathways.
Absolutely.
Collectively we can start creating better outcomes. So I'm really excited about our partnership. I know it's only the beginning, because we have big ideas together.
Much bigger ideas, so and, stay tuned.
And we would love to bring others along on our journey, because we all have the same goal, to create better outcomes for patients.
Better outcomes for patients.
Thanks so much.
All right, Jeroen, thank you very much. Good to see you.
We hang on for a couple of minutes, because there may be a couple of questions here. And I'm sure Dave here has a question. I can see him writing here. How are you, Dave?
Dave. Anyone have a question before we wrap things up here? I know it's a little bit be shy with a crowd this big, but please don't hesitate if you want to ask something before we finish up.
No questions, Dave?
I've got a small comment.
Okay,
you want to make a comment?
So, as you know, I'm a firm believer in innovation and where it's going to take things, but I had a moment of fear in one of the first examples you gave, where you get into the car and it senses that you're tense and it starts to massage you. Okay. I immediately heard my wife saying, "Why can't you do that?"
Okay, you want a human touch. That's clear.
There you go.
You get it, Dave. Thank you.
Always bringing important perspective to the discussion is E-Patient Dave, ladies and gentlemen. Dave will be with us in about 5 minutes. Right now, let's hear it very much for
Thank
Richard
you.
Druin one more time. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. And once again, if you have heard of Dave before, he'll be up in a few moments. If you want to get a copy of the schedule, you can see all of the great things that are happening here in the booth. Our speakers are right over there. Presentations happen at the top of every hour, all day, including Wednesday. So we hope you'll get a schedule and come back. And if any of you is looking for an opportunity, we are looking for people to join the Philips team as we have unprecedented growth and expansion. So I think they're over there. Our Dominic and Justin, either one of them, there they are. So if you would like to find out how you can become part of the Philips team, you can talk to them right now, or you can join us over at the Hyatt in CF23 for the career fair. Thanks, everybody.